Hi everyone, this is Brian and welcome to my profitability case, Critical SAS. You are going to practice a realistic case interview. If you are watching this on YouTube, I want you to comment on this video with your actual responses. I will then reply back with my assessment of your response as either good or great. We're going to go through a case together. I'm going to ask you questions and prompts. Then you'll pause the video and write and say your response out loud just like you would in the real interview. Next, I'll demonstrate what a good response sounds like and then what a great response sounds like. And last, you'll score yourself on each and every key as if it was real, and at the end of the case, you'll know exactly where you're strong and where you need to improve to get the offer. Okay, let's get started. Our client is the new vice president of an internet software company that sells in a software as a service model. They sell web experimentation software that lets clients conduct tests on their websites to see what works and what doesn't. It's also called A/B testing. Now, the VP is a veteran in the software as a service industry and has realized in his first few days with the company that profits on a per user basis are lower than competitive benchmarks. So he would like our help to understand why profits per user are lower than the competition and what actions they should take to improve profitability. So with that said, pause the video now and write down any clarifying questions you have. Okay, in regards to a clarifying question you may have asked regarding if the company has any specific profit per user targets, they'd like to get it to at least parity with the competition. Great. So go ahead and take a few moments to lay down how you would approach this problem. Okay, pause the video now, write down your structure, and then say it out loud. Okay, now I'm going to talk through an example of a good, typical case structure. Okay, I'd like to start by breaking down profit into its component parts and also take a look at our company and the competition. So profit breaks down into revenue and costs. And for revenue, I'd like to understand the pricing and how that's changed over time. And then I'd like to look at volume and see how has that changed over time. And then for costs, I'd like to see if any changes have happened in the client's fixed or variable costs. And then I like to take a look at the company, and I'd like to know more about kind of the types of customers we have, what are their needs, and what are the types of products we offer. And then last, I want to see how the competition compares to us. What are they doing differently? Now I'm going to talk through an example of a great structure for solving this problem. So to understand why profit per user is lower than the competition, first, I'd like to understand more about our company's customers and products. Second, I'd like to dive deeper into our clients' financials. And third, I'd like to understand how we compare to the competition. Then, once I have a fuller understanding, I'd recommend potential actions our client can take to improve profit per user. And this may include changing our price, or lowering our costs, or moving to a more profitable mix. So, starting with the company, I'd like to learn more about our customers. Specifically, what are our types of customers and how do we segment them? Also, how do their needs differ? And then I'd also like to learn more about our products. So specifically, what are the types of products we sell and what's our product mix? Perhaps we are selling too much of lower profit products. And then I'd like to dive deeper into our clients' financials. So within revenue, I'd like to understand price and see if that's changed over time. I'd also like to understand volume and see if that's increased or decreased over time. And then I'd take a look at costs, and I like to break them into fixed and variable costs and see if either have changed over time as a percentage of revenue. And then last, I'd like to understand how we compare to the competition across several dimensions, including the types of customers we serve, the products we offer, differences in product mix, and also an understanding of the financial comparison, including price, volume, and cost structure, variable and fixed costs. Okay, great. So now that I've demonstrated a great structure, I've put some green tabs on some notable points of difference. So in the upper right, you'll see how I made sure to address the second key question about what to do about it. You always want to make sure your structure answers all the key questions. In the bottom left, you'll notice I asked about mix, right? Product mix is a trick case interview writers love putting in because a lot of people forget to ask about mix changes. And then in the bottom right, you'll notice I wanted to dive into the competitor's financials and see that comparison. And it's important to understand that financial comparison to see if they might have a difference in price or a potential cost advantage. Okay, now let's take a few moments to reflect. First, I want you to look at the criteria for a good versus a great structure. And then I want you to honestly assess where your performance fell. Second, I want you to re-listen to my good example and see how it mostly falls into the criteria on the left side. And then third, I want you to re-listen to my great example and see how it mostly falls into the criteria on the right side. So please take a few moments to pause and replay before proceeding. Great. Now go ahead and let me know where you want to start and why. Okay, pause the video for just a few moments, write down your key questions that you'd like to explore, and then say them out loud. Now I'm going to talk through an example of a good, typical way to examine and uncover. Okay, so within price, I'd like to understand what's our price today, how has that changed over time, and how do competitors price? And then in costs, I'd like to understand what's our fixed and variable cost today, and how has that changed over time, and how does that compare to the competition, because perhaps our costs are higher than the competitors. And then within company, I'd like to know what types of products do we sell, how does that compare to what the competition sells, and what types of customers do we sell to, because perhaps our customers are more price sensitive or have lower budgets. Now I'm going to talk through an example of a great performance on examining and uncovering. So within customers, I'd like to know who are the types of customers we sell to, and how do we segment our customers, and how do needs differ by segment. Then within products, I'd like to understand the types of product we sell, what's our product mix. And then I'd like to look at revenues and costs. So within revenues, how do we price our product, and how has our pricing changed over time? And has our volume increased or decreased over time? Perhaps we've lost customers, which lowers profit per user due to fixed costs being spread across a lower base of volume. And then within costs, have either our fixed or variable costs changed over time as a percentage of revenue? And then lastly, within competition, I'd like to understand, how do our customer segments compare to the competition? Perhaps we are appealing to lower budget customers who can't spend as much. And how does our product mix compare to the competition? Perhaps we are selling more of lower profit products than the competition is. How do we price our product versus the competition? Perhaps we're underpricing our products or overpricing them. And then how does our fixed or variable cost compare to the competition? Perhaps our competitors have a cost advantage in their labor rates or overhead costs. Now let's take a few moments to reflect. First, I want you to look at the criteria for a good versus a great way to examine and uncover key issues. And then I want you to honestly assess where your performance fell. So then I want you to re-listen to my good example and see how it falls into the criteria on the left. Then I want you to re-listen to my great example and see how it mostly falls into the criteria on the right. So please take a few moments to pause and replay before proceeding. Here are some answers to your questions. Within customers, we sell to three primary types of customers: small businesses, medium businesses, and large enterprises. Now, we don't have specific information on needs, but we do know that the size of the business roughly correlates with their degree of marketing analytics sophistication. And the competition also sells to similar customers, so those small, medium, and large enterprises. Now, within products, we sell three different versions of our product: standard, professional, and premium. And we do have our mix and our competitors' mix that we can share in an exhibit in a little bit. About your questions on revenues, our prices haven't changed, and we can share how we price and how the competition prices in a later exhibit. And then within costs, I can tell you our fixed costs and variable costs are in fact in line with the competition. So let's go ahead and take a look at exhibit number 1, which has some data the client has shared with us. Great. Here's data the client just provided. Take a moment to read through. What are your observations and takeaways? Okay, pause the video for just a few moments and talk out loud what you're seeing here. Now I'm going to talk through an example of a good, typical example of uncovering key insights. So I'm seeing a few differences. In the standard package, we are including advanced audience targeting, but the competition is not. And in the professional package, we are not offering advanced audience targeting, but the competition is. And then in the premium package, the competition is providing enhanced security controls, but we're not. And then we don't even have an ultra premium package, but our competitor does. So that seems like a potential opportunity to explore. And then also I can see that the competition is selling more higher end plans than we are. So we should try to sell more of our higher end plans and market them more heavily. Now I'm going to talk through an example of great performance on uncovering key insights or nuggets. So it seems like we are giving too much value away in our standard package, which is likely our lowest priced offering. So for example, we are including advanced audience targeting in our entry-level offering while our competition is not. And this would explain why we have a much higher mix of our customers in our lowest priced offering versus the competition. And to increase our mix to higher end offerings, we should look into reducing the features in our standard package and adding more valuable features to our professional and premium packages to make them more compelling. And we should also look to add an ultra premium tier to capture those customers who are likely looking for the best of the best and don't care about price as much. And also, I'd like to understand how we're pricing our plans and how this compares to how the competition is pricing, because perhaps we're either overcharging or leaving too much money on the table. Now let's take a few moments to reflect. First, I want you to look at the criteria for a good versus a great performance for identifying the nuggets. And then I want you to honestly assess where your performance fell. Second, I want you to re-listen to my good example and see how it mostly falls into the criteria on the left. And then third, I want you to re-listen to my great example and see how it mostly falls into the criteria on the right. So please take a few moments to pause and replay before proceeding. The client has shared an exhibit with the following information. They'd like you to calculate the exact increase in average revenue per user in dollar terms if the client were able to match the competitor's mix and pricing. Okay, pause the video for just a few moments, write down, and then talk out loud your math calculations. Now I'm going to talk through an example of a good, typical way to do math. So, okay, I want to start off in the upper left. I'll write down the client, so I'll just write down, okay, we have 12% and we're getting 149. we have 30% that we're getting 79 for. 58% we're getting $49 for. Okay, then I'll do the same write down for the competitor. So I'm getting 2% at 299. I'm getting 14% at 199. I'm getting 41 or they're getting 41% at 99. They're getting 43% at 49. Okay, so then I'm just going to have to do a weighted average for the client, and then I'll have to do a weighted average sum for the competitor, and then just take the difference of the two to get the increase in average revenue per user. So, okay, let me start with the client. So, 149 times 12 is 8, and then got the 9 there, 2, okay, then put the 0 there, multiply it out, so 9, 4, 1, okay, so some 8 to the 18, carry the 1, 7, 1, okay, so dot goes there, yep, so 1788 there. Alright, so now I'll do 79 times 30, so 0, 0, another 0, okay, 7, carry the 2, 21, 2, 3, 23, decimal in the middle, okay, 2370. Alright, 49 times 58 is 2, carry the 7, okay, 32, 9, 3, then 0, 5, 4, and put the 2 there, sum it down, 2, 50, 40, okay, that's I think, yeah, that should be a 4, yeah, slight mistake, 8, 2, okay, so that one's 2852. Alright, so now I'm just going to add the 1788 plus the 2370 plus the 2842, so 8 to 2, 0, 15, 24, alright, it's another 0, and then 8, 7, carry the, because that's another 0, carry the 2, 3, 5, 70. Okay, so the client is making $70 on an average revenue per user, and now I need to do the same calculations for the competitor. So, okay, so let me start at the top. So 299 times, yeah, 299 times 2. Okay, so I was doing the wrong one before. Okay, so that's 8, carry the 1, 19, carry the 1, 2, 3. All right, so that's 598. Then I'm going to do the 199 times 14. So that's 6, carry the 3, put 4, carry the 1, 7. Okay, and then put the 0 to the 9, another 9, 1. Sum it down, 6, 8, carry the 1, 7, 2. Alright, so 2786. Alright, so then I gotta do 99 times 41 for the next one. So that's 9, another 9, 0, 6, yeah. Yeah, 0, 6, 8, 3. Okay, so that's 4059. Okay, and then the last one's 99 times 43, 7, no, wait, hold on, 7, 8, 3, wait, no, that's, I got the, oh, no, that, calculating the wrong one. Alright, so it's 43 times 49, so that's 7, carry the 2, 36, 8, put the 3, 387, put the 0 there, 12, 2, carry the 1, 17, alright, so that gets me 7, some 0, 1, alright, so that gets me 2107, okay. Alright, so now I gotta add the 4 price points, or the 4 averages for the competitor. So that's 2107 plus 5.98 plus 27.86 plus 40.59. So that's 15. 2130, carry the 3 up there. 12, 25. Put the 5, carry the 2, 3, 8, 15, 5, put the 1 back, 3, 5, all right, so 95.50. Okay, so the average revenue per user for the competitor is 95.50, our client's 70, so I just subtract the 2 and I get $25.50 as the increase in average revenue per user. Now I'm going to talk through an example of a great performance on doing the math, and it's by finding a powerful shortcut. So, okay, so the question is, how do we find the increase in average revenue per user if we were to match the price and the mix? So, since we're looking for the increase and we're doing this on an average per user basis, I think I can think about this in a simpler way of just assuming we have 100 customers, and then I can think about how many new customers do we have and how much more are they giving us, and I can think through that on a package by package basis. So let me just start with the first one. So the Ultra package is going to give us 2 more customers that we didn't have today at $299, so I'll represent that as 300 minus 1, so that's 300, 600 minus 2, that's 598. Okay, then the premium package is we have 12 customers that we're relatively getting another $50 from, so that's 5 times 12, 60, $600, and then another 2 customers that we didn't have before paying us $199, so 200 minus 1, so that's 400 minus 2, so that's 398. All right, so then professional, we've got 30 customers paying us basically another $20 that we didn't have before, so that's 600. And then another 11 customers we didn't have paying us 99, so 100 minus 1. 100 times 11 is 1100 minus 11, so that's 1089. Okay. And then the standard package, we're actually losing 15 customers that were paying us $49, so 15 minus 1. So 15 times 5 is 75 times 10, 750, minus time negative plus 15, so that's 735, okay? So then I just need to add this down. So the 598, 600, 398, 600, 1089. Right, so the 8 plus 8, 9, that's 5. Carry the 1, 8, 9, 8. Okay, that's 8. Carry the thing, 6, 3, 6. Get me the 2, 2. All right, so 3285. And then subtract out the 735. So that's 0, 5, cross 3, 2, 1, put the 5 there too. All right, so we are going to get an extra $25.50 in incremental average revenue per user. And, 25 over 70 is, okay, so a 30% increase would be 3 times 7. So 30% increase would be 21 over 70. 40% increase would be 4 times 7, 28 over 70. So, and we're right in the middle at 25. So this is about a 35% increase in average revenue per user, which is pretty significant. Now let's take a few moments to reflect. First, I want you to look at the criteria for good versus great performance for the math. And then I want you to honestly assess where your performance fell. Then I want you to re-listen to my good example and see how it falls mostly into the criteria on the left. Then I want you to re-listen to my great example and see how it falls mostly into the criteria on the right. So please take a few moments to pause and replay before proceeding. Okay, let's say we go ahead and change our price and better our offerings. What are some ways the competitor might respond, and how might it affect us? Okay, Pause the video for just a few moments, talk out loud, and jot down some of your thoughts. Now I'm going to talk through an example of a good, typical example of generating ideas. Okay, the competitors may respond by trying to undercut us on price, and so we might need to cut our prices back as a result. And then the competitors might offer even more pricing tiers, and we should be careful of not adding too many ourselves in response, because this could confuse the customers with too many choices. Now I'm going to talk through an example of a great way to generate ideas. Okay, the competitors may make their product offering even more competitive. So this could include adding value-added services or feature sets to the packages while keeping prices the same. And so we might want to think about what services we could add and how we could operationalize them quickly. Now, the competitors may also lower the price, and so we might need to assess if it makes sense to match, but this could lead to a price war. It might make better sense to add more value to our offerings and try to keep the price the same or even higher. And they might also increase their promotional spend to acquire new users or offer incentives to their existing customers to build in more loyalty to keep them from leaving. So we may want to think about promotional incentives to get customers to switch to our product. Perhaps we can look into offering switching incentives. Now let's take a few moments to reflect. I want you to look at the criteria for a good versus a great performance for generating ideas. And then I want you to honestly assess where your performance fell. I want you to re-listen to my good example and see how it mostly falls into the criteria on the left. And then I want you to re-listen to my great example and see how it falls mostly into the criteria on the right. So please take a few moments to pause and replay before proceeding. Let's say that the senior VP walks in and wants a quick overview of your findings and recommendations. What would you tell him? Now, I'm going to talk through an example of a good, typical recommendation. Okay, we recommend putting more value into the higher end plan and move features out of the entry-level plans. And this would make our mix more profitable and more in line with the competition. And we should also keep in mind how competitors might respond to our changes and what to do about it. This might include more marketing investment on our side, or might include us needing to add more features or coming out with additional products. Now I'm going to talk through an example of a great recommendation. We explored why profits per user are lower than the competition and what to do about it. We found that we were adding too many valuable features in our lowest priced offering, which therefore made our higher end offerings less attractive. If we were to reconfigure our packages and align our pricing to match the competition, we'd gain an additional $25.50 of average revenue per user, or roughly 35% more than what we have today. So we recommend reducing the features in our standard package and add more valuable features to our higher end packages to make them more compelling. As a next step, we should also assess how competitors may respond to our changes, which may include product, marketing, and pricing changes. And we may want to increase our own marketing spend or incentives to keep our customers from leaving our platform, since we are relying on a recurring revenue-based model. Now, let's take a few moments to reflect. I want you to look at the criteria for good versus a great performance for delivering a recommendation. And then I want you to honestly assess where your performance fell. I want you to re-listen to my good example and see how it falls mostly into the criteria on the left. And then I want you to re-listen to my great example and see how it mostly falls into the criteria on the right. So please take a few moments to pause and replay before proceeding. Now that you've finished the case, I want to remind you to comment on this video with your actual responses. I will then reply back and score each of your responses as either good or great. Go ahead and pause the video now so you can see how I would grade you.